Silence isn't just a lack of noise. It is a calculated psychological weapon that cuts deeper than any argument ever could. When you go quiet, you aren't just hitting a mute button, you are shifting the entire atmosphere of the relationship. Most men don't understand that words often act as a safety net for a woman. As long as you're talking, complaining, or even arguing, she knows exactly where you stand. She knows she still has a grip on your emotions. But the moment you withdraw that speech, you remove the safety net. She doesn't just notice the quiet, she feels it like a physical weight in her chest. It creates a sudden cold vacuum that demands to be filled, and since you aren't the one filling it with words, her mind begins to fill it with anxiety, curiosity, and doubt. The brutal truth that most men miss is that a woman's imagination is far more powerful than your best sales pitch. When you are constantly chasing, texting, and explaining yourself, you are providing information, and information is easy to dismiss. You become predictable. You become a background noise that she can tune out whenever she likes. But when you go silent, you become a mystery that she is forced to solve. Silence is the only tool that forces her to confront her own feelings without you there to guide her. It stops the chase in its tracks and flips the focus entirely. Suddenly, she isn't thinking about how to handle you. She's wondering why she can't get to you anymore. This isn't about playing games. It's about the raw reality of human psychology. We value what is scarce and we ignore what is loud and constant. If you've ever found yourself staring at your phone, waiting for a reply, or wondering why the more you try, the further she pulls away, you need to realize that your words have become your weakness. Every checking in text and every "why are you being like this" message is a leak in your power. It shows her that your internal peace is dependent on her response. Silence, on the other hand, is the ultimate flex of emotional self-sufficiency. It communicates that you are perfectly fine in the stillness. It tells her that you don't need to beg for a seat at the table because you are comfortable standing alone. This breakdown is going to show you exactly how to stop being the man who reacts and start being the man who leads by doing nothing at all. By the time you truly master this silence, you will realize that you have been working too hard for results that should have been natural. You'll see that the moment you stopped chasing is the exact moment she started looking back to see where you went. This isn't just about getting a text back, it's about a total internal transformation where you reclaim your time, your dignity, and your mental space. You are moving from a position of desperation to a position of absolute control. You are going to learn why the man who can sit in silence without flinching is the only man a woman truly fears losing. Stop the noise, kill the fluff, and let the silence do the heavy lifting for you. To understand why silence works, you first have to understand the environment most women live in. For a woman, especially one who is used to being pursued, attention is like oxygen. It is a constant, invisible background noise that she breathes in every single day. Between the DMs, the likes on her photos, the stares in public, and the compliments from random men, she is constantly validated. This creates a psychological throne where she sits, feeling completely in control of the social dynamic. Because this attention is so abundant, she doesn't actually value it. She expects it. She doesn't even notice the air she breathes until the room suddenly becomes a vacuum. When you, a man who was once a consistent source of that validation, suddenly go silent, you aren't just stopping a conversation. You are cutting off her supply. You are the first person to show her that your attention is a privilege, not a right. And that realization hits her ego like a freight train long before her heart even realizes you're gone. This ego shock is powerful because it triggers an immediate identity crisis. When she realizes your name isn't popping up on her screen, her internal monologue shifts from "I'm the one in charge" to "wait, why isn't he chasing me?" Her pride cannot handle the idea that she might be losing her grip on you. She begins to wonder if she's lost her spark, if you found someone better, or if you simply realized you're too good for the games. This silence is an insult to her ego because it suggests that you have a life, a mission, and a purpose that is more important than staring at her profile. By pulling away, you flip the entire script of the relationship. You are no longer the one auditioning for her approval. Suddenly, she feels like she's the one standing in the dark, guessing where she stands, doubting her own influence, and waiting for a sign that she still matters to you. The beauty of the ego shock is that it forces her to think about you more than she ever did when you were available, when you were texting her back instantly and always there. She didn't have to think about you because you were a solved puzzle. But now that you've gone quiet, you are an unsolved mystery. Her mind will obsessively try to figure out why the noise stopped. She will tell her friends she doesn't care, she'll try to stay busy, and she'll act like she's still on that throne, but deep down, that silence is eating at her confidence. Silence is the only thing loud enough to make a woman realize that she can actually lose you. And once that realization sets in, the power dynamic shifts completely into your hands. Once the initial ego shock wears off, don't expect her to come crawling back with an apology immediately. That's not how the game works. Instead, she is going to move into the testing phase. Women are psychologically wired to test the strength of the men they are interested in, and she needs to know if your silence is real or if it's just a bluff. She wants to know if you are a man of steel or a man who will crumble the moment things get uncomfortable. She will intentionally use bait to see if she can force a reaction out of you. This might look like her ignoring your social media stories, taking 5 hours to reply to a simple question, or, most commonly, posting thirst traps or photos of her out having the time of her life with other people. Every one of these moves is a silent question. Are you strong enough to watch this and stay quiet, or are you going to panic? This is the exact moment where 99% of men fail. They see her post a photo with a guy friend or see that she's been active online but hasn't texted back, and they lose their cool. They fold under the pressure and send that long paragraph-style emotional text asking what's wrong or trying to fix things. The second you do that, you lose. You've just proven that your silence was fake and that she still owns your emotions. She smiles because she realizes she still has the remote control to your feelings. By reacting, you hand her all the power back on a silver platter, and she immediately loses respect for you because you showed her that you can be easily manipulated by her behavior. You went from being a mystery to being just another guy she can play with whenever she's bored. However, if you stand your ground and remain completely unbothered, the test backfires spectacularly. When she throws her best bait at you, the cold shoulder, the jealous pictures, the silence, and you respond with absolutely nothing, it terrifies her. It signals to her that you are a man who cannot be moved by her games. It shows her that you have a level of emotional self-control that most men will never possess. When she realizes that her tactics aren't working, her perception of you changes instantly. She stops thinking you're just mad and starts realizing that you are actually a high-value man who is totally comfortable walking away. Passing the silent test is what earns you her genuine respect and attraction because she finally feels that she is dealing with a man who is stronger than her own moods and games. You win the game by refusing to play it. The human brain is a machine designed to solve puzzles. It absolutely loathes a vacuum. When you provide a woman with constant information, where you are, what you're doing, and how much you like her, you are essentially giving her the cheat codes to your soul. There is no work for her to do, and therefore no reason for her to obsess. But the second you stop providing that data, you create a psychological void. Because there is no longer a concrete reality to hold on to, her imagination is forced to take over. And imagination is a far more dangerous and persuasive force than reality could ever be. In the silence, she doesn't just wonder where you are. She begins to invent scenarios. Every hour that passes without a text from you is an hour where she is mentally building a mystery around you. She starts asking herself the questions that keep her awake at night. Is he talking to someone new? Is he finally over me? Has he realized he's better off without me? Because you aren't there to give her the truth, her mind naturally assumes the most high-value version of you is out there living a life that no longer requires her. This is how curiosity evolves into a full-blown obsession. When a man is always available, he is cheap in a psychological sense. He is a commodity that is always in stock, so there is no rush to buy. But your silence makes you the rarest, most expensive item in her world. It's the same reason people queue up for limited edition products. Scarcity creates value. By staying quiet, you become a ghost in her machine, a figure that she can't quite grasp or control. She might find herself checking your social media 20 times a day, looking for clues in your follower count or your old posts, all because she is desperate for a drop of information to fill the vacuum you created. This obsession isn't something you have to force. It's something her own brain does to her because it can't handle the mystery of a man who doesn't need to explain himself. You become unforgettable, not because of what you said, but because of the massive echoing space you left behind. When the present becomes a wall of silence, her mind has nowhere to go but backward. It's a psychological reflex. When we lose access to someone in the now, we instinctively reach for them in the then. Her brain goes into a full-scale rewind mode, replaying your relationship like a highlight reel of a classic movie. In the quiet of her room, without the distraction of new arguments or needy texts, she starts remembering your greatest hits. She remembers the way you looked at her that one night, the specific sound of your laugh, or even the scent of your cologne on her car seat. This is the power of nostalgia. It acts as a natural filter that softens the rough edges, blurs out the fights, and amplifies the moments of peak attraction. She stops thinking about the reasons she was distant and starts focusing entirely on the feelings she's now missing. This is exactly why silence is a million times more effective than chasing. When you chase a woman, you are forcing her to deal with a desperate version of you in the present, a version that is pleading, annoying, and low value. But when you stay silent, you force her to deal with the perfect version of you that lives in her memories. You are essentially letting her own mind do all the hard work of selling you back to her. While you are busy living your life and staying disciplined, she is busy curating a mental gallery of why you were the best thing she had. You win the game by withdrawing your presence so completely that you are no longer a guy she is managing or dealing with. Instead, you become a lingering ghost, a voice echoing in the back of her head and a constant reminder of a feeling she can't find anywhere else. By the time she reaches out, it's not because you convinced her with words, it's because she can't stand the silence of a present that doesn't include the man from her past. In the world of dating and social media, silence makes you an immediate anomaly, and being an anomaly is the most powerful position you can hold. You have to realize that a woman who is even moderately attractive is constantly bombarded by a sea of sameness. Her phone is a nonstop parade of thirsty DMs, good morning texts from guys she barely knows, and a literal army of men liking every single photo she posts within seconds of it going live. To her, this behavior is the standard or the normal. When every man she encounters is throwing themselves at her feet, attention becomes a cheap, low-value commodity because it is everywhere. But then there is you. You are the only one standing perfectly still while the rest of the world is chasing her. By doing absolutely nothing, you have separated yourself from the crowd of average men and placed yourself in a category of one. You are the exception to the rule, and in human psychology, we are hardwired to ignore what is common and obsess over what is different. This is where the comparison trap starts to work in your favor without you lifting a single finger. Every time another guy sends her a desperate message or leaves a thirsty comment on her profile, it actually helps you. Each act of desperation from another man serves as a vivid reminder of how different you are. She starts to compare their frantic, needy energy to your calm, steady silence. She begins to ask herself, why are all these men begging for my time while he doesn't seem to need me at all? What does he have? What internal strength does he possess that makes him so immune to my charms? This comparison shifts the power dynamic completely. Your silence becomes expensive because it is rare. You aren't just another guy in her inbox. You are the one man she cannot easily influence, manipulate, or predict. By refusing to join the race for her attention, you have essentially won it because she will always be more fascinated by the man who is missing than the dozens of men who are constantly in her face. This is the stage where the psychological impact of your silence really begins to cut deep. Up until now, she has likely operated under the assumption that she is the prize in every interaction, the one who decides who gets her time and who doesn't. But when you go silent and stay silent, that entire illusion begins to crack. If the person she views as a prize can't even get a basic reaction or a chase out of you, she starts to turn that skepticism inward. Her internal dialogue changes from, he's missing out, to a much more vulnerable, am I not good enough to keep him interested? This is a massive hit to her self-image. She starts to wonder if she's lost her touch, if her spark has faded, or if you've simply found someone else who is more captivating than she is. This fear of being replaceable is one of the most powerful motivators in human nature, and your silence forces her to face that fear head on. Because she is feeling this sudden drop in her own perceived value, she will eventually try to test the waters to see if she still has a hold on you. This is the moment of the ping text. It's usually something completely meaningless and low effort, a random meme, a hey, I saw this and thought of you, or a question about something she could easily Google. Do not be fooled. This isn't about the content of the message. It is a search for reassurance. She is fishing for validation to prove to herself that she is still important in your world. If you fold immediately and shower her with the attention she's been missing, you kill the mystery and hand her the prize status back. But if you remain steady, polite, and brief, or better yet, let the silence linger, she realizes that her value in your eyes is no longer a given. She realizes that she is the one who has to put in the work, the one who has to be interesting, and the one who has to prove herself to you. You've successfully moved the goalposts, and now she is the one playing the game to win your approval. As the cycle of silence reaches its peak, something profound begins to shift within her psychology. In the beginning, she may have met your silence with pure resistance. She was likely frustrated, annoyed, or even cold. She might have tried to punish you with her own silence or doubled down on her social media games to see if she could break you. But as days turn into weeks and you remain unshakable, that resistance starts to crumble and is replaced by a much more powerful emotion: respect. You have to understand that respect is the absolute foundation of any real attraction. Without it, any interest she has is just a fleeting spark that will eventually burn out. By staying quiet, you are demonstrating a level of discipline that 99% of men simply do not possess. Most men are slaves to their emotions. They feel a twinge of anxiety or a spark of jealousy, and they immediately act on it. But when you stay silent, you are showing her that you are the master of your own internal world. You are proving that your discipline is stronger than your impulse to chase, and that is a trait that commands respect in every area of life. This transformation happens because your silence communicates a message that 1,000 texts never could. It tells her that you are an emotionally independent man who does not need her approval to feel whole. You are signaling that your happiness, your mission, and your sense of self-worth are not tied to her validation or her likes. This level of independence is incredibly rare in a world where everyone is constantly looking for external likes and comments to feel good about themselves. To a woman, a man who can exist comfortably in the quiet is a man who is genuinely powerful. She realizes that you aren't trying to win her or trick her into liking you. You are simply existing in your own strength. This is the moment she stops seeing you as a guy she can manipulate or toy with and starts seeing you as a man she actually admires. She begins to realize that while words can be faked, promises can be broken, and effort can be a performance, the strength required to remain quiet is undeniable. It is a raw, honest display of character that she cannot ignore. Ultimately, by mastering the art of silence, you have achieved something far greater than just getting a reply or a date. You have won her respect, and once you have a woman's respect, the entire nature of the relationship changes. She no longer looks at you as someone she is doing a favor for by talking to. She looks at you as a man of high value who she is lucky to have access to. The power dynamic has shifted from her allowing you into her life to her hoping she can earn a place in yours. Every other man in her life is likely begging for her attention, but you are the one standing tall, unbothered, and centered in your own life. This creates a gravity that pulls her toward you more than any pickup line or grand gesture ever could. You have proven that you are a man of your word, even when that word is silence. You have shown her that you value yourself enough not to beg. And in doing so, you have made it impossible for her not to value you too. This is the ultimate victory. You didn't just win the argument or the moment. You won the long game by showing her the man you truly are.